guys, it's Kylie, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make magic carpet inspired Disney ears. So today I'm going to show you how to make some magic carpet inspired Disney ears. I actually made these for one of the Year of the Ear swaps. I made this for June's Sidekick theme, and I will have the video of the person opening them that I sent them to, so definitely check out Mel's channel from Geeking Out with Melly Mel, as that's who I sent these ears to. If you're interested in seeing the ones I sent to her, these ones are pretty much the exact same as those. I really enjoyed making them for that swap, so I decided to make myself a pair, and I thought I'd show you what I made. I think they're super cool. They're definitely one of my favorite pairs of ears I've ever made for a swap, and that's why I wanted to make myself a pair as well. And I thought it'd be a fun design to share for all of you if you're interested in making a pair for yourself. But if you guys are interested in more Disney videos just like this, definitely hit the subscribe button, turn the bell so you get notified every time I upload. I post tons of Disney content on this channel. And we're going to dive in and make our ears. So for these ears, there's a few different things you need. I have some cardboard. You can also use foam board for the inside of your ears. I have some polyfill stuffing, and I will have most of this linked in the description down below. I have some trim. I got this trim that has tassel on it. I will be cutting off 4 of the little tassels for the carpet. I'll also be using the strip of the trim for the bow. I have some gold trim. I have 2 different colors. I haven't decided which gold trim I'm going to use yet. I have this fabric. This was the closest fabric I could find that reminded me of the magic carpet. There was a few different styles you could get, but some sort of magic carpet color scheme with that gold and purple. This is the one I have. And then a sparkly blue fabric. I got this at Joann's. I also have some that I got on Amazon. So there's a couple different options you can get that. A hot glue gun, some scissors, some extra glue. Those are kind of the basics you need. And then you also need a headband. This is the headband I use. I usually cover it in fabric. And then you do need some ribbon. I'm just going to use white ribbon for the inside of my headband. And now we're going to cut everything out and put it together. I will have linked in the description down below a template to show you how big to make the ears. But I have an ear sewing line and an ear cutting line that I'm going to be using to make the ears. And then I also have a bow piece of paper. This one is 8 by 11, so I just cut the extra ½ inch off, and that's what I use for the bow. And now we're just going to start off with cutting everything out and tracing it to get the size we need. So I do have actually a different blue that I use for the headband. I just prefer not to have the sparkly on the headband. I prefer to keep that just with simple cloth fabric. I just prefer the way it feels. So now we're going to trace out our ear cutting line template. I'm just going to place it down and grab a Sharpie or some sort of marker, something to just trace it out that will stick. I like to add a little extra arc to it just so I know where it starts, and then loop my way around. Some fabrics are harder to draw on, so I just like to draw some sort of template around the same shape and size. And that's our first one, and we're going to draw 4 of these. And now that I have all 4 of those drawn, I'm just going to cut them out. So once you're done, you can just put that to the side and you have your 4 ears. I'm going to move those off to the side so we can cut out our next piece of fabric, which is going to be our bow. So all I'm doing is just pulling open this fabric that I have to use for the bow, and then I'm going to take my bow piece of paper and line it up. And it looks like this is about a good size. It's got an extra little bit over there that I'll just cut that off, and we'll cut right along this side over here. I don't always trace out the bow because a lot of times I can just leave it flat and cut around it where I'm just cutting a square, and it's okay if my edges aren't perfect because I'm going to be cutting those off. This is just a rectangle, and there we go. We have our bow piece of fabric, so I'm going to put that to the side, and we're going to now cut out our cardboard. So you could also use foam board. We're going to cut this out as our next piece. This you use the ear sewing line, so that's the smaller of your 2 ear templates, and you're going to need 4 of these. And once you trace them out, you're then going to cut them out. So now that I've cut out those 4, it's time to start gluing. So I'm going to take my 4 pieces of blue fabric in my 4 cardboard squares, and I'm just going to lay out the back of the blue fabric facing up. And then the cardboard squares, I'm going to pick whichever side I think I want on the front versus the back. I think I'm going to go this way, and we're just going to lay them down. And I'm just going to glue around the edges, and we're going to fold up the fabric. You don't want to pull on the fabric, you just want to fold it up. And we're going to go around and slowly fold up the fabric around all the edges to make an ear. I'll show you this first one, and then you're just going to repeat that same steps for your other 3 ears. You have 4 total of these. You just take it and you just fold it up. You don't want to pull on it, because if you pull on it, you won't have that much room to put the stuffing in. You do have to be careful where this sparkle fabric is usually like a mesh. You just want to be careful that you don't burn yourself. So just be very careful folding it up. You're just going to take it, fold it up all the way around, and then you're going to repeat this with the other few fabric, and you will have this space in the front to be able to put in your polyfill. So I completed our 4 ears, and now I'm going to put the stuffing in them. So all you do for that is you just take a bunch of stuffing and you push it in. Depending on how tight your fabric is, you might need to use like a tool or a pen or something to just help push it in. This fabric's pretty stretchy, so I'm just going to put a bunch of it in. And you can choose whether you want them to be flat. You can make them as poofy or as flat as you want. And then once you put the stuffing in, you just take them and you fold over that edge. And then you're going to take some hot glue, put it on the back right here, and stretch the folded over edge and just kind of let that set. I then like to just hold them for a little bit, try to get that glue all set, and then you move on to your next ear. And then I like to just trim some of this extra fabric, anything that didn't get glued down, off. And then we are going to take our ears and we are going to put them together. And then I like to put them under a weight, whether that's even just like me standing on them, some sort of weight to just hold them together, push them together a little bit once you put 2 of them together, just to help hold that seal and keep them together pretty strong. We will put trim on them, and that helps as well. So I just like to take them, look at the 4 of them, and figure out, okay, which 2 are similar in size. These all seem pretty similar. I think this one's probably our thickest, and then I think this one might be our thinnest. So we're going to do, well, we'll see. If I put these together, do those look pretty similar? Or would it be better to do like this? I try to make them even, so like the thickest with the thinnest and the 2 middle ones together. I think that looks pretty good. And now I'm just going to take our glue and put it around the outside and then on the inside as well. And then I take the ear and I just put it together and I hold it for a little bit and make sure the bottoms are lined up, because you definitely want to make sure those 2 pieces on the bottom are lined up, because that's what's going to be going on your ear. And then I just hold it. So I just push everything together and then hold for a little bit. And then I put it under some sort of weight or just under my feet so that it stays together. I usually put it under, I have a bin full of fabric next to me, and I usually put it under that, but just some sort of weight to put some pressure on it so that it stays together. And then I'm going to repeat this with our second ear. So just putting some of that glue all the way around and looping it into the middle, and then lining everything up and pushing that together, and then putting it under that bin or some sort of book or something just to kind of push those all together. The next thing we're going to focus on is our bow. For the bow, all I do is I fold in the 2 long sides. So I just put glue straight across here, and we fold up the long edge into the middle. You want to fold it about 50% of the way. And then we repeat from the other side, put some glue down it, and then we fold it up 50% of the way. It's okay if these overlap a little bit. And then we do the same thing, but folding it into the middle. So we're going to fold it each 50% of the way into the middle. I like to figure it out up before, and then put a little dollop of glue on each side once I figured out where I like that. And that's most of our bow. I am going to cut out, because this bow is unique and has these 4 tassels on it, I am going to cut them out off of our fabric trim. So I'm just going to cut them out. I want to keep those strings, so I'm trying to cut it as close to the start as I can, because I'm going to want those strings once I put that bow together. And then I am going to take some of this trim as well, and I'm going to use that as the trim in the middle of my bow. So the next step of my bow is folding it. So you fold it accordion style, so up and back, up and back, and then one more time, so that you have this nice little accordion style bow. And then you put some glue on the inside of the bow, and then a big dollop of glue, and that's where you're going to start this piece of trim. And then you're just going to wrap it around and glue it again on that back. And then I am going to just cut off the excess and just kind of hold that all together. And to help hold my bow together, make sure it all stays on and all set. And then the next thing is to do our 4 tassels. So in these 4 corners, you have these little holes. So all I do is in each little hole, I put a little dollop of glue, and then just the string part of the tassel, I stick in there, and then I just kind of pinch that little corner of the bow down. It does cause the bow to lose that little fluff in the corner, but the tassel element is something really cool, and I think it's an awesome add to the bow. So I'm just going to do that for all 4 corners. And then we have our completed bow with our 4 tassels on it to look like the corners of that magic carpet. And now the next piece we're going to do is our headband. So for my headband, I like to find a corner of the fabric, and all I do is line it up. And then I start a little glue on the inside, and all I do is I take the edge of the fabric and I fold it over. You want to leave a little bit at the end. So you don't want to start right in the perfect corner, but you just want to fold over the fabric, and you're going to fold it over as you do the whole inside loop. So you're just going to put a little glue on the inside and fold it over. You want to keep it on the 50% on that side, because we are going to glue the other side down as well. And you do want to pull it a little bit when you put it on. You want to make sure it's tightly on there. And you're just gluing down that border edge and going straight across all the way through till you line everything up. And it's okay if the end gets a little funky. You can glue it once you cut it off. And then you're going to take the fabric, fold it over your headband, and just pull. You want to make sure the glue's dry before you start pulling. And then you're going to keep about 2 extra inches at the base. So feel wherever the headband ends, which is right there. Keep about 2 extra inches and then cut across. And then I like to run my fingers along the edge of the headband. So I have about a finger's width distance from the edge of the headband. And that's what I'm going to cut out. So I just take my fingers and I kind of run them across. It's about the distance of like the top part of your finger. So I just run it across and cut that off. And then I go straight to the end and cut that off. And now all you're going to do is take that headband and you're going to fold it in and then glue that inside, and we'll trim the excess off. You want to make sure it's that extra thickness, because in the inside of the middle part of the headband, it's a little thicker than the edges. But now we're just going to go through and glue that inside part. You want to kind of pull this one when you glue it, just so you know it's tight on that other side, to give that crisp look of the headband. And then I take my scissors. You can either take these ones, or if you have smaller, like even like nail clipping scissors, those smaller like ones you'd find in like the toiletry section, I like to use those sometimes as well, or even little kid scissors. You just want them sharp, so I find that those are sharp but also small. And you just kind of trim around the outside. You want to make sure that it's trimmed down so that it's not going to overlap with anything, and you're not going to see it when you put the ribbon on. It's okay if there's a little overlap, but you don't want it hanging off the edge so you don't see it when you put the ribbon on. And then the next step is to take some ribbon. I'm going to use this white ribbon and put that on. So then I'm going to just take some glue and put it on the inside and loop some ribbon through the inside. And then right on the end, you have to trim it off. And then we are going to fold over the edges just to give it a crisp folded over edge look. So you just trim on that off that extra ribbon. And the ribbon doesn't go all the way to the end. You can see there's a slight distance between the end and the ribbon. I like to have that because I'm going to be doing this fold over. So I put a little glue and I just fold over the edge on one side and then I tuck in the side. So I just kind of fold it in like a present and fold it over again and make sure it's all nice and glued down. And then I trim off some of the excess. And then I usually take a little extra glue and just stick it on the inside underneath all that, just to kind of secure that down. And I could repeat that on the other side. Depending on how long your final cut of ribbon is, you can always trim off a little bit more of that if you would like to, or even add some like corners to it just to angle it down. And then you put a little glue, just kind of fold it over, and then you push that down, and then I just trim off the little excess. And then I just push those two sides down, and then we have a nice covered headband. So now we're going to take our gold trim and put that around the outside of our fabric. So all I do is put a little bit of glue around the edge. This just helps to fill in some of that crack that you see between the two ears. And I'm just going to place down our gold trim. You can use any kind of trim you want. I think the gold adds a good accent to the gold in the bow, and both in the bow and in, it kind of reminds me almost as this is the Jasmine's dress in colors, and then you have the magic carpet, or you can think of this as like the sky. I just think these accent each other very well for some magic carpet inspired ears. And then once you get to the end, you just trim off that end, and then I like to tuck it under a little bit. So I just take a little bit of glue and I just tuck it right underneath. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to tuck it right underneath. And then this one has a little tape on it so that it doesn't split. I'm just going to trim that off. Just because of the type of trim this is, it can sometimes unravel. So there's our first ear, and then I'm going to repeat that for our second ear. So I take my headband and I figure out which side I like is the front, back. I think I'm going to do it this way. I take my two ears, I kind of line those up, and then I grab my bow. So the first thing I am going to do is line up our two ears how I think I want them to look. And then I put a bunch of glue on the bottom here. I really like this fabric because it's stretchy. I can put a bunch of glue on the bottom down here. Add it to my ear where I think I want it to go. And then I actually push the fabric down to help kind of cover that glue. So I just push it on. I'm pushing that fabric down. Helps to give it like a nice crisp look of the fabric, really touching that headband. And then once both ears are on, I then take my bow, I put a dollop of glue in the middle, and then I take the back of my bow and I just squeeze it on. I like to use my bows as support for my ears. So once I get my bow on, I put some glue on the back right here where the bow overlaps the ear, and I just squeeze that on. It just adds some more support to the ears. I find that it helps to keep the ears, especially when they're nice and poofy like this, helps to keep them on together and everything's like one unit. So I just like to add that on as well. And you have your tassels hanging off. You could even glue your tassels down if you want them in a certain way. I like them just kind of hanging around. But you glue that all down just to add that extra support. And then you have your magic carpet themed Disney ears. So I think these ears came out really cool. I really like the way they came out. I love the way this blue fabric accents that magic carpet in the middle. I think the tassels is an awesome little add. Definitely excited to have my own pair of these. When I made them for the swap, I was very happy with the way they came out. That's why I wanted to make a pair for myself as well, and I thought I'd share it with all of you. They're super comfy, awesome ears. I definitely love the magic carpet. I love Aladdin, so I thought these would be some fun ears to make. Let me know in the comments down below if you choose to make them for yourself, or if you have a favorite character that you would like to see Disney-inspired ears by. I would love to give you a tutorial on how to make inspired ears for that character. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys later.